Did you know that a bad hire can literally cost a company up to 30% of that employee's first year earnings? Yeah, 30%. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to dive deep into the complete operational execution of talent acquisition. We're not just framing this as some dry HR process. No way. We're looking at it as the ultimate, high-stakes journey to find your company's next hero. Think of every new hire as a protagonist entering your organization's story. But how do they actually get there? What machinery is running behind the scenes to make that critical connection happen? And more importantly, how do you keep it from becoming a wildly expensive mistake? Well, that is exactly what we're going to unpack.
Okay, let's just dive right into this. How does a business actually take an empty desk or, a dormant software license and turn it into a thriving, productive new team member? From the outside, it kind of seems like magic, right? A job is posted, people apply, and suddenly someone new is drinking coffee at the morning stand-up. But look, we all know what happens when a company relies on magic instead of a rigorous life cycle. It's pure chaos. I mean, we've all heard those horror stories of a new hire showing up on day one only to find they have no laptop, their manager's on vacation, and the receptionist has literally no idea who they are. Beneath the surface of any successful, growing company is a deeply structured operation that demands absolute precision, strategy, and flawless execution.
So, for the next few minutes, we're going to explore that precise operational execution from the very first requisition all the way through to the final offer and beyond. We're really looking at the exact gears that need to turn in the background. Understanding this life cycle is absolutely crucial because it highlights the difference between just crossing your fingers and predictably scaling a world-class team. By breaking this all down, you'll see that successful hiring, it isn't about luck. It's not about gut intuition. It's about a reputable, highly scalable sequence of events. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll follow the exact chronological life cycle of a job opening through 5 critical phases. First, the birth of a role. Second, the hunt begins. Third, evaluation and selection. Fourth, closing the deal. And finally, measuring recruitment success. All right, let's start at the very beginning of our story with Phase 1, birth of a role. It all starts with a requisition. Basically, this is the formal realization that you've got a gap on your team. Picture a frantic engineering manager realizing her team is consistently missing product deadlines simply because they don't have enough back-end development power. That very real pain point translates into a formal request for headcount, and that is followed immediately by writing the job description. Now, a bad job description is just a laundry list of impossible demands. It's what recruiters jokingly call hunting for a purple squirrel. But a great job description? That's a highly focused blueprint. It defines the exact problems this hero needs to solve, outlining the precise skills and daily tasks required to cure that engineering manager's headache. Because at the end of the day, it starts with a gap on your team. You literally can't start the recruitment process without first acknowledging that operational void. Every successful hire stems from a clearly defined business need. If the gap isn't accurately identified right there in that initial requisition stage, the entire life cycle that follows is going to be pointing in completely the wrong direction. Just imagine spending weeks recruiting and hiring a brilliant, highly paid marketing director, only to realize a month later that your actual bottleneck was in sales enablement. Identifying the true gap is ground zero. Now that we know exactly who we need, we move to the next chapter, Phase 2, the hunt begins. So this brings us to sourcing. Sourcing is where we cast our net wide and actively hunt for talent to fill the top of our funnel. We're not just, slapping a help wanted sign in the window and praying the right person walks by. Sourcing is a highly proactive, highly strategic operation. It involves recruiters diving deep into platforms like LinkedIn, specialized industry forums, or open source databases to find people who perfectly match that job description, even if those people are completely happy in their current roles. Elite recruiters don't just spam inboxes with generic messages. They craft a compelling narrative. They might look at a candidate's GitHub repository, reference a specific piece of elegant code they wrote, and send a personalized message that proves they've done their homework. That is how you capture the attention of a passive candidate and pull them right into your recruitment ecosystem. With candidates now in the pipeline, the story shifts into a meticulous, analytical phase. Phase 3, evaluation and selection. Now, it's incredibly easy to confuse screening with assessments, but operationally speaking, they are worlds apart. Screening is your rapid, high-level filter. Think of a quick 15-minute phone call where a recruiter just asks, "Hey, do you require visa sponsorship? Do our salary expectations generally align?" It's a quick pulse check, so you aren't wasting anyone's time. Assessments, on the other hand, provide a deep, thorough evaluation of a candidate's actual skills. This could be a timed coding test for a developer, or maybe a mock pitch presentation for a sales director.
It is the undeniable proof behind a heavily polished resume.
And look, a skipped step here genuinely means a bad hire later. Skipping a thorough assessment inevitably leads to incredibly costly mistakes. Imagine bringing a graphic designer all the way through the interview process based purely on a charming personality and a beautifully curated but maybe heavily template-assisted portfolio. Everyone loves them, right? You make the hire. Then, on day one, you hand them a live project and realize they fundamentally don't know how to use your company's required software stack. Now you're facing months of lost productivity, the sheer awkwardness of a performance improvement plan, and thousands of dollars down the drain. A rigorous assessment phase is literally your operational insurance policy against that exact nightmare.
Next up, we move to conducting structured interviews and finally making the ultimate selection. This is where all the data really comes together. The danger of unstructured interviews is profound. Think back to the old days of hiring, where managers thought it was clever to ask brain teasers like, how many golf balls can fit in a school bus? Those questions, they don't predict job success, they just introduce wild bias and randomness into what is essentially a multi-million-dollar business decision. A structured interview means every single candidate gets asked the exact same core behavior-based questions. That levels the playing field for the hiring committee. Once those interviews wrap up, the selection phase synthesizes all the real data, the screening notes, the objective assessment scores, and the structured interview feedback to clearly identify the absolute best person for the role.
The hero has been chosen. That brings us to a celebratory yet highly critical phase. Phase 4, closing the deal. The execution here must be absolutely flawless. We move sequentially. Step 1 is extending the offer, which kicks off that high-tension, delicate dance of negotiation regarding salary, equity, benefits, and start dates. One misstep here can instantly ruin weeks of hard work. Once the offer is finally accepted, we immediately trigger Step 2, background verification. This ensures the candidate's history checks out, the references are solid, and everything aligns with company policy. And finally, we finish with Step 3, preboarding, which bridges that critical gap between the moment they accept the offer and their very first actual day on the job. Securing the hire before day 1, that is what preboarding is all about. It is essential because it locks in the candidate's engagement before their official start date, ensuring they don't just drop out of the narrative at the last second. Imagine the absolute heartbreak of finding your perfect hero, they accept the offer, they put in their 2 weeks notice, and then they hear absolutely nothing from you for 14 days. Doubt immediately creeps in. Suddenly, a lucrative counteroffer from their current boss starts looking very tempting. Let me tell you, in the corporate world, ghosting a candidate after they sign is a fatal operational error. Proper preboarding, sending them company swag, maybe a quick welcome video from the CEO, or laying out their week 1 schedule keeps them excited, engaged, and permanently locked into your company's story.
So, the candidate is hired, but our operational lifecycle explainer isn't quite finished until we hit Phase 5, measuring recruitment success. To truly optimize this machine, we have to evaluate 2 very different things, the what and the how. Recruitment KPIs give us the hard data on our process. These are quantifiable metrics like time to fill or cost per hire. This tells you exactly what happened. If it took 90 days to hire a mid-level engineer, well, that's a massive red flag. Best practices, on the other hand, are the overarching, proven operational methodologies guiding the entire lifecycle. This tells you how you achieve the results. Are you insisting on structured interviews? Are you maintaining diverse hiring panels? By constantly analyzing both the cold, hard metrics and the human methodologies behind them, a company can continuously refine and upgrade their entire hiring machine.
As we wrap up this explainer on the anatomy of a hire, I want to leave you with this crucial question to challenge your own operational execution. From that initial requisition all the way to preboarding, where is the weakest link in your company's talent acquisition lifecycle? Identifying that weak point is the very first step toward building a truly elite, unstoppable team. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the operational lifecycle of hiring. Keep learning, keep optimizing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.